it's me today. I'm here with my January wrap up. I did a mid-month wrap up, so that will be linked down below and in the eye when I start talking about it later, because I will recap it. And then the second half of the month, I read 3 books and a shitload of comics. I got obsessed with reading comics, so I will be talking a little bit about those towards the ending, but we'll mainly be talking about books. Let's start with some stats. These stats don't include the comics that I read, just FYI, because otherwise it would be way too much. But yeah, let's go. I read a total of 11 books, which is a total of 3,959 pages, which is an average of 359.90 pages per book and 127.70 pages per day average, which it's still like very great stats considering like I only read 3 books in the second half of the month, so like this wrap up is gonna be like hopefully on the shorter side. So you know, those stats are still absolutely amazing, and I wasn't expecting them because like I said, the second half was very slumpy, so that's what's not slumpy, but like I didn't read a whole lot in the second half like of books, so that's what's most fresh in my mind. So to then like see all of these stats, I was kind of like shocked that everything was so high. Because if you want to know, my average per book I want to be 350, and my average per day I want to be like 100, so I am over all of those. So that's great. Then for format, I read 2 books I owned, 5 books that I got a Gala to Nangali, and 4 books from the library, which 3 of them have already been returned. I only have 1 of them with me. Then for star ratings, also amazing. I have 2 2-stars, 4 3-stars, 2 4-stars, and 3 5-stars, which is an average rating of 3.54, which a 3.54 is amazing. Like again, my goal for my average rating is 3.5, and I haven't been hitting that towards like the end of 2021. So the fact that I'm over that now, I'm just really happy. And then I have 1 middle grade, 7 young adult books, and 3 adult books. For genres, I have 2 mystery thrillers, 1 historical fiction, 4 contemporaries, 3 fantasies, and 1 sci-fi. Let's go with a little recap for my mid-month wrap-up. I'll just pop up the pictures right here if I don't have them with me. I'll be talking about star rating, and that's it. If you want to know my in-depth thoughts, check out my mid-month wrap-up, which yeah, and down below, so go check that out. The first book I read in January is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which I gave 4 to 5 stars. Then I read Fortune Favors the Duke by Kristen Vaden, which I gave 2 to 5 stars, and the gal I got from Nagali. Then I read You'll Be the Death of Me by Karen M. McManus, which I gave 2 to 5 stars. Then I read Once Upon a Cape Home by Kat Cho, which I gave 5 to 5 stars, and the gal I got from Nagali. Then I read Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly, which I gave 2 to 5 stars, and is a gal I got from Nagali. Then I read Inferno by Julie Kagawa, which I gave 2 to 5 stars. Then I read Vic by Alex Gino, which I gave 5 to 5 stars. And lastly, for the mid-month wrap-up, I read Iron Widow by Ziwan J. Zhao. I still don't know how to pronounce her name, I'm so sorry. Which I gave 5 to 5 stars, and is a gal I got from Nagali. Yes, so that was the quick mid-month wrap-up speed through. And yeah, go check that video out if you want to know more of my thoughts. So now I'm gonna talk 3 books with you, which isn't a lot, but oh well. First book I read since doing that mid-month wrap-up is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, which I give 4 to 5 stars to. This is a YA historical fantasy taking place in 1920 Shanghai, and basically we follow, this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and we follow Roma and Juliet, who are both like the heir to their respective gangs that they're in. And I believe 4 years ago they dated, and then you know stuff happened. Roma ended up betraying Juliet, and she ended up like they ended up breaking up, and she ended up being sent away to America for her education. And now at the beginning of the novel, she has just returned back to Shanghai, and there are like this madness is kind of going over the town, and people are dying in mysterious ways. And Juliet and Roma kind of have to work together to be able to solve what's going on, you know, to protect their city, even though they are from rivaling gangs and they hate each other. So yeah, I really like this book. I picked it up because I've heard amazing things about it ever since it was released, and I generally like really liked reading this book. I wasn't as invested in it as I would like to with most of my books until like the very end. Like the ending was like super action packed, and just like one twist after the other, and then I was very engaged in it, but for the rest I don't know, I felt a bit distant from it, which is why I dropped this down. And also the romance between Roma and Juliet, I just wasn't that convinced of. I did really like the dynamics together, but I just think might have been better if we just like kept them as like becoming friends in this book, and in the sequel we got into their romance more, because how it was done in this book, I didn't really feel it. But for the rest, I did really like this. I really like the setting. I think, even though I don't know much about 1920 Shanghai history, there is a little artist note at the back where Chloe Gong does like explain some of the history that is included in here. And I really liked how that history was like blended with the fantasy elements, and I love urban fantasy. It's one of my favorite genres, because I love seeing how like a fantasy world impacts a real world. And I think in a historical setting it's even more interesting, because you can see these historical events kind of like played together with like this fantasy element. And I think that was really well done in this book, and I really liked how it was done. I also just really like, and say it's fantasy, but like it's very light fantasy, I guess. Like the madness is a fantasy part in this, but like mainly focuses on like the gangs and stuff like that, and that isn't fantastical. But I did really like the fantastical element in this. I thought that was really well done. Like I said, towards the end there's a lot of twists and reveals that I really liked and really shocked me. I was also very attached to all of these characters. Juliet is my favorite. I thought she was an amazing badass, but there are several characters in here who I absolutely adore, and I can't wait to get to the sequel, because I want more of these characters. And then also just the way this ended, I'm very intrigued. Then next I read Getting His Game Back by Gia De Cadenet. Again, a name I can't pronounce, I apologize. I give this 2 to 5 stars. As a gal I got from Nagali. This is a adult contemporary romance following 2 main characters. One is named Khalil, and he about a year ago had like this mental breakdown, and he's been going to therapy ever since, and he's been hiding it kind of from like the people around him. And now he's getting to like this point where he wants to start dating again, and that's when he meets the other main character, Vanessa, who is a black woman that is like the CEO of a very big tech company. And you know, she has a difficult time like fitting into that world as a black woman, but she's also had difficulty dating with white men because of the racial differences, and she's had some bad experiences to it. And Khalil owns this barbershop that she ends up going to because her hair salon was, I don't remember what happened, but like something happened there, and like she desperately needed a haircut, and then the barbershop was like close by, so she ended up going there. And that's how they meet, and they immediately like kind of like feel this attraction toward each other. But you know, it kind of deals with Khalil kind of being unsure about going into the romance because of his mental health issues, and then Vanessa being unsure about going into this relationship because she's had bad experiences with white men, and Khalil is white. So yeah, that's this book, and I didn't like it. I mean, the beginning was fantastic. I thought that the way these characters like started interacting with each other and kind of had just like, are we flirting or not banter, I really liked that. I thought they had like a lot of very cute scenes together. I also really liked our 2 characters separately, and I do think that both of their like hesitancies about going into a relationship were very well explained, and I really understood why they were both like this hesitant about it, you know. And then on top of that, I think that Khalil and Vanessa also had like a great discussion around Vanessa's hesitancy with courting, like that corresponds to his race. I thought that was a very well done discussion that the 2 of them had. But then they actually get together, and this book just goes to shit, because there is no plot in this book. And I get some people like romances that focus on the romance and don't really have a plot going on, but I need something more, especially if you're gonna put them together like halfway through. Like, if you want the book to just be romance, like get them together at the very end. But if not, you need a plot. Otherwise, I lose interest the second they get together. And that's what happened in this book. It got so boring, and I feel like that banter wasn't there anymore. And then I also just feel like both of them got very codependent on each other, which is very much reflected in Khalil's mental health storyline. So yeah, I ended up hating it towards the end. But I still really liked the beginning, so that's why I settled on a 2-star. And then the last book already that I read is Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, which I give 2 out of 5 stars. And this one is difficult to explain, so stay with me. Basically, this is a YA fantasy, and in this world, every 1,000 years, there is this dragon that can fulfill any wish. But for this to happen, you need like this, I think it's like a poem or something, I don't know exactly, but it's written on these scrolls. And you need these scrolls and like need to recite this thing, and then the dragon will appear to you and will give you any wish you want. But the last time this happened, the person who ended up like doing a wish ended up getting very corrupted, and a lot of evil things happened, bad things happened to this world. So these scrolls were divided among like these different temples. And now at the beginning of this novel, it is like around the time again where the dragon could appear, like not appear, but like we're getting to the time that the dragon comes around, I guess. And we follow our main character, who is a like shapeshifter, like half shapeshifter, half human. It's complicated. And she has lived her entire life in this temple, and that temple like has one of these scrolls, and at the beginning of the novel the temple gets attacked, and she's the only one that is able to survive. And she takes the scroll and is supposed to like take it to this other temple who has another part of the scroll, you know, warn them that people are after the scrolls, but also to kind of like get this thing going, I guess, I don't know. And then other main character we follow is a like not really a samurai, but they refer to him a lot as a samurai, and like in his other monologue he's like, I'm technically not a samurai, but like they don't really explain it, so I don't really know. But he was sent to the temple to receive the scroll, and he arrives right like after the attack happened, and he comes across our main character, and she tells him about what happened, and he's just like, oh, I was sending for the scroll, but she can sense that he is there for the scroll, and she is like, but I know where the scroll is, but I need to go talk to like that person who will send me to he'll give me directions to the temple where the scroll is. And he is like, she is just like, I gotta go warn them that, you know, danger is ahead, that's my task. And he just like goes along thinking that, you know, he'll be able to steal the scroll then, and she has the scroll, but she did this as a ruse to kind of like get his protection, because she knows that the way there will be very dangerous. And yeah, that was the very complicated explanation of this book. I apologize. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. If you've been around the channel these past 2 years, you know I've had a complicated relationship with Julie Kagawa, but this is the series that has been the most hyped, so I had high hopes for it, and I was still a little disappointed. The way this book is structured is just not my favorite. I can definitely see why so many people love it, because it kind of, I call it like a video game structure, but I've seen a lot of people compare it to anime as well, but I'm not familiar with anime, so I'm comparing it to video games because that's what I'm most familiar with, even if I'm not super familiar with video games either. But it's just like this way where they're traveling the entire way through the book. Like, this is a travel book, and I really like travel books, I don't mind, but like in every town they stop, they kind of have to do like these side quests that have really nothing much to do with the plot. Like, they get new people for their group, like people join their group and stuff, and it just got very boring because, like I said, a lot of these like side quests is what I call them, but that's not officially it, like don't really have much to do with the overarching story. So that just felt like not really much was happening in this book, and it got me very bored for reading it. And that's just why this one didn't gel with me as much. I do really like these characters, I like this world, so I am hoping that the rest of the series will work for me, because then the ending, which is the plot, I did really like, and again a lot of great reveals are made in it, and it just got me very excited to read the next book. But let's just hope it'll be better. And also what I had is this told first person singular, and like I said, we have 2 different perspectives in this book, and at the start of like each chapter they don't have like a little like this person, it's this person's perspective, and because it is first person, I had to guess, which, you know, once you're in the book and like you know these characters, it is pretty easy, even though their voices weren't as distinct as I would like. But in the beginning, when you don't know these characters at all, it's so confusing when you're switching perspective each chapter, but there was no indication that you're in a different perspective. That was so confusing. So I was maybe that's why I have a hard time explaining this book, because this beginning just, I didn't know anything, I didn't understand anything. And then yeah, I'm going quickly also over the comics I read, because like I said, I binge read a shitload of comics and I just want to talk about them because I need recommendations for where to go next. And these are all like very recent ones. Very beginner friendly, I think. Not really from the start, because I have read some that kind of come before some of these, but it's just, you know, don't shame me for the ones I have read, you know. I mean, I'm just gonna say like the suicidal and then the year, and then I'll pop up the picture of the first issue, and that's kind of all I'll say, because I don't really want to talk too much about them. So yeah, there's a lot. First, I have Hawkeye 2016, Miss Marvel from 2015 to 2019, Magnificent Miss Marvel, which is 2019 to 2021, and then to like understand like the side plot in this, I had to read Outlawed, which is a single issue thing which went in 2020. Then I read the West Coast Avengers from 2018, which I absolutely adored this, so more like this, definitely recommend that. Then I read Lucky the Pizza Dog Infinity comic, which is from 2001, and again it's like a one-shot story. Beyond Avengers from 2005, Beyond Avengers Special, again 2005, is like again like a one-shot thing, but it like explains the origins of the Young Avengers. Now we have Young Avengers Presents from 2008, Avengers Children's Crusade from 2010 to 2012, Avengers The Children's Crusade, Young Avengers, which is again a one-shot that kind of like explains things for the previous, for Children's Crusade, which is from 2011. And we have Young Avengers from 2013, Champions from 2020, which just goes with the Outlawed that I talked about earlier as well. And then I read Vision from 2015, which again, I adored someone like this, please. And yeah, that's all the comics I read, which is a lot. Like honestly, if you take away like all of these single issues from all of these series, I have a problem. So yeah, that is everything I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the question below what you thought of any of these books, if you've read them, as well as some of the books you read in the month of January. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Good.
Here and again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so